families. There are lots of mental health challenges, especially when they get into adolescent and young adulthood, and this is because of isolation, stigma, and this is usually just because of the nature of the disease. Because of frequent painful crises, they are not able to take part in the same activities as their peers. They are not able to meet potential as adults. And then there's risk of severe complications and early death. So what you see there, the swollen hand, is actually the first presentation of sickle cell disease. So before we were able to diagnose these patients, this is how the patient will first present, and this would occur at the age of between 6 and 9 months of age. So the other presentation you'd see is they come in with yellow eyes, which is a sign of jaundice, also a complication of sickle cell, and severe anemia, which was the leading cause of death in these patients because of the nature of the disease. So before the structured sickle cell services was strengthened at Jaramogi, many patients and families experienced late diagnosis, often after repeated illnesses in various low-level facilities, and by the time they come to hospital, they already have complicated disease. They had frequent emergency visits during the crisis, inconsistent use of preventive intervention. So what we have currently as a treatment for sickle cell is a disease-modifying agent, a drug known hydroxyurea, and because of inconsistent supply, most of our patients do not have access to this medication because of cost, one, and also availability at the lower level facilities. So there was also delayed recognition of complications from the lower level facilities, and this is because of lack of training of our healthcare workers on sickle cell disease as it is. The other burden to the families is the financial and emotional exhaustion for families because of repeated hospital visits and painful crisis. So where did we start from? So what has happened is in our hospital is we have a comprehensive care model. As at now, we do newborn screening of sickle cell disease and early infant diagnosis. So we screen these babies at birth and also at the first contact at the MCH during the 6-week routine visit for vaccine. And what we do after diagnosis is to counsel these families and link them to care for follow-up. So regular clinic follow-up and early initiation of the disease-modifying agents is actually beneficial for this patient to prevent the repeated hospital visits that we see. So the other thing we have in the facility is treatment in terms of hydroxyurea, and what we offer is both pediatric-friendly formulations in terms of syrup for the babies and also capsules and tablets for the other older patients. We also give transfusion support, and part of the prevention of complications is immunization. So we offer booster immunization to these patients after they complete their routine vaccination, childhood vaccinations. So what we also offer is education and also teamwork for multidisciplinary teams that need to take care of these patients once they get their complications. So what has the Ministry of Health done to support this? So we have introduction of newborn, early infant diagnosis into the maternal and child health booklet, and we expect all babies born in this country at the age of 6 weeks to have been screened for sickle cell disease, to be able to detect this disease early and to be able to link them to care, and so that these patients are able to live without complications. So what's So what are we doing different in Jaramogi as a tertiary facility that serves as a referral center for the 4 high-burden counties in the western region? So we have advanced red cell exchange transfusion, and the aim of this was to strengthen care for severe complications. So one of the most devastating complications of sickle cell disease is acute stroke. We saw most of our patients coming in with stroke, and the other complication that we saw was chronic complications, especially for the adolescents and young adults that have lived with this disease. So most of them will come in with repeated painful crises, making them unable to go to school or work, repeated episodes of anemia requiring frequent transfusions, and the facility acquired a machine, the Optia Spectra, which has helped us to be able to give quality care to these patients to improve the quality of life. JOTRH is the first public hospital conducting red exchange transfusion, and the first procedure was done on the 1st of September 2025. So that was our patient 001, and up to now, for the last 11 months, we have done 11 procedures in the facility. So this procedure is fully covered by SHA, and our patients are able to access 3 exchange transfusions in a year, which is adequate enough for our chronic transfusion programs. So what can we do? What we can do is to make sickle cell a healthcare priority. So the early diagnosis for every child, every crisis should be managed promptly, every family educated on sickle cell, every clinician trained to pick up these complications in time, and to strengthen our system to bring us closer to a future where sickle cell disease will no longer mean despair to these patients, but hope for living a healthy life without disability. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Misore, for that success story. There are things that we can do, and there are many other hospitals that need to give the same services to our client. Your Excellency, our next stage is to have lived experiences from a maternal saved, a mother saved, a newborn saved, a sickle cell case, and 2 of our facilities. So I'll ask Dr. Juliet to give me the names, to call them here. They will be standing here and give their lived experience. Each will be 2, maximum 3 minutes. Thank you.
Your Excellency, the First Lady of the Republic of Kenya, Honorable CS Aden Duale, CS for Health, and all protocols observed, allow me to moderate and lead this team of Iwene Blooms. This is a group that is selling courage, hope, and showing that we can actually save our mothers and newborns while we are doing everything we do in our everyday life. Allow me to call on stage Elizabeth Nabita, who's an RH coordinator from Kisii County. Welcome, Elizabeth. Dr. Felicitas Makoha, neonatologist and county pediatrician in Bungoma County, who will come and share the story of the 770-gram ray of hope. Next on stage will be Dr. Sura from Pumwani Maternity Hospital, an obstetric and gynecologist. Kindly welcome on stage to share your story. Next will be Nancy Kerubo Onchenku, who will share a lived experience as a mother saved, baby saved, and SHA did not fail her. Last on the list, but not least, is Tracy Acheng, who's a courageous speaker. I'll start with the one by one. This is the Iwene quickfire. 2 minutes, share your experience, then we'll continue with the session.
Your Excellency, good morning. I am Elizabeth Nyabicha from Kisii County. Today, Kisii County is doing 62 days of 0 maternal deaths. What does this mean? Commitment and teamwork. So I salute the Kisii County leadership, the healthcare providers, and the partners supporting in maternal newborn health. In the spirit of Iwene, Kisii County leadership prioritized maternal newborn health services, and among the activities that Kisii County is doing is MPDSR accountability, whereby every week we sit and ask ourselves, why did mothers die, and what can we do differently so that a mother does not die? So among the gaps that we identified falls among the pillars of Iwene. The first gap was the breakdown in critical care services, where we had breakdown in our ICU, breakdown in oxygen supply in our Kisii teaching and referral hospitals, and our leadership came quickly and repaired the oxygen plant, and we had the ICU equipment being replaced first. And the other gap was the gap of quality care, whereby we trained 32 healthcare providers in the month of June, and these healthcare providers added to the pool of mentors who were trained earlier, and they do weekly drills, weekly CMEs, and continuous mentorship, and this builds confidence to the healthcare providers so that they are able to manage emergencies that come. The other gap is on referral, whereby in every review we had a gap of delayed referral being mentioned, and so the referral unit was tasked with the responsibility of accounting for every referred mother, every referred newborn, and they were able to give outcomes. We cannot be able to leave out the community component, where we have our CHPs referring our mothers from the community, and they do continuous follow-up to identify danger signs. Lastly, Kisii County has adopted the digital platform whereby we promote our mothers with messages so that they are able to be promoted during pregnancy and postpartum period. So our call for action as Kisii County is to sustain the 0 maternal deaths. If you are doing day 62, then we can do day 70, day 90, day 180, and at the end of it, day 365, whereby we'll have all our mothers alive, home with their babies to thrive. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kisii County. We'll now welcome Dr. Felicitas to share her story.
Thank you, Dr. Juliet. My name is Dr. Felicitas. I'm a pediatrician with specialty training in newborn care. Today I'm here to share a story of hope of a baby who, because of the physiologic weight loss, the weight dropped to 500 grams, but because of the interventions that the ministry has put in place, supplying CPAP machines, subsidizing the cost of caffeine citrate that we use to prevent apnea of prematurity, and having comprehensive newborn care training, the team in Bungoma County Referral, headed by the neonatologist, myself, pediatrician and neonatal nurses, were able to take care of baby fever until discharge when the baby was 2 kilos. So, previously, such babies will be termed to be an abortion or a miscarriage. But because of the interventions that the ministry and the county governments have put in place, we have a lot of success stories of babies who are born extremely preterm, less than 1 kilo, surviving. What are the key issues that you have to put in place for these babies to survive? They have to be born in the right place. So our CHPs who are here, if you have a high-risk mother, make sure that she goes to the county referral hospital where she'll have access to these services for the baby to be able to survive. Let this baby not be born at a lower level facility and be transported cold to the facility, and by the time they reach there, they die. So I'm here to provide hope for families that have had babies lost at an extreme gestation, that now we have facilities in place to reduce deaths attributed to prematurity, which is the leading cause of newborn deaths. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I'll now welcome Dr. Sura from the largest maternal hospital in sub-Saharan Africa. Welcome.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Thank you for this opportunity to share on how Pumwani Maternity Hospital continues to lead the way in quality maternal and newborn health. As Dr. Juliet mentioned, we're the largest maternity in Kenya and sub-Saharan Africa. We do about 15,000 to 18,000 deliveries per annum, and that's looking at about 50 deliveries per day. We may have dropped a few in the last 2 years due to some industrial actions. But essentially, in the last 19 months, that is about 1.5 years, we've reported nearly near zero maternal deaths. This is not an accident. This is a deliberate effort in sustained investment in our leadership and workforce. Ewene is a framework of 10 pillars, and we really try to incorporate that in our care at the hospital. For example, when we talk about the workforce, almost to date, 95% of our workforce, that is nurses, midwives, and medical officers, have been trained in EMONC, that is the Emergency Obstetric and Neonatal Care, comprehensive newborn care, and even a relevant amount of workforce has been trained on point-of-care ultrasound at the bedside. So that means at any given shift, we have a specialized workforce taking care of patients. When we talk of Pumwani, we talk of not working in isolation, partnerships with our referral hospitals. We don't have the ability for an ICU right now, but we talk of partnerships with our sister hospitals and ability to access ICU care. So when we are unable to escalate care, we're able to refer in a timely fashion. We talk of respectful maternal care. That is one of the core pillars that we hold true to our hearts at Pumwani. No mother should suffer with no dignity. Partnerships, we're a hub of research. We partner with foundations and donors. We're able to now allow that to bring in technology and offer, for example, continuous CTG monitoring for all our mothers. And we've taken it a step further where this is AI enabled. We're also able to do preventive, early detection and treatment of postpartum hemorrhage, one of the biggest killers of our mothers. What more can I say? Pumwani is known by its volumes, but we're distinguished by our outcomes, and that's the Pumwani way. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Your Excellency will now change gears to lived experience. We have a mother who was saved, a baby who was saved. And here she is, Nancy Kerubo, to share her story. Welcome.
Thank you. All protocol observed. Hamjambo. My name is Nancy Oncheku. I'm here to present preterm moms. Ningeongea kwa Kiswahili ndio tuelewane na wamama wenzangu ambao wako nje. Nashukuru sana. My journey started nikiwa na 30 weeks wakati maji ilipasuka nikiwa kwa nyumba. Nikakimbia hospitali Mbagathi. Kufika Mbagathi nikapokelewa vizuri, nikadungwa shindano za kusupport lung development ili waendelee kuniobserve mpaka wakati wa kujifungua ulipofika. Hila huwa wakati wa hukufika. Mtoto wangu alikuja mapema na 31 weeks. Nilikuwa nimetense sana kwa sababu kweli wamama ambao mko hapa mnaelewa kweli mtoto wa 31 weeks ni mdogo sana. She was so tiny. I was tense like, mtoto wangu kweli atasurvive, lakini kweli alisurvive, hata mnamuona hapa. Si ni ukweli? Nashukuru Mungu kwa sababu wakati alipozaliwa alipelekwa nursery A, akakaa 2 weeks Mbagathi, madaktari wakamshughulikia vizuri. Ilipofika after 2 weeks akawa na shida ya kupumua. Akapelekwa ICU. Mtoto akakaa pale 2 weeks pia, nikawa nimetense, najua bili imeenda juu, nitalipa vipi, nikawa nimechanganyikiwa. Mungu ni mwema, madaktari walikuwa pale ni wazuri sana, walishughulikia mtoto wangu vizuri na nikatoka hata nikaenda side nyingine ya kangaroo. Mtoto alitoka akiwa na 1.4 grams, nikaenda kangaroo alikuwa na 1.6. Pale kangaroo ni mahali unaweka mtoto kwa tumbo akiwa vile amezaliwa, hili you bond with her na apate ile joto ya mzazi kana kwamba bado wako kwa tumbo. Tulikaa pale siku kadhaa tukatoka. Tulipotoka pale hospitalini mtoto alikuwa na 1.9 kgs. Mnasemaje? The doctors, the nurses are doing good work. Changamoto ni kwa SHA. Wamama wengi hatuna SHA. Mimi nilipotoka nilikuwa na wasiwasi, nitalipa aje bill. It was more than 600,000. Ajabu ni kwamba nilipoenda kuuliza SHA niliambiwa my bill has been cleared. Si kulipa hata senti moja. Wamama ambao tuko pale nje, mnaonitazama, jipangeni vizuri. SHA ni pesa inalipa vizuri, SHA inapokea wamama vizuri. Ukiwa na SHA usiwe na wasiwasi. Changamoto nyingine, mtoto akija mapema usiwe na wasiwasi, mtoto wako ataokolewa akiwa hospitalini, ataweka nursery, apate matibabu mazuri na atatoka akiwa mzima. Asanteni.
Asante sana, Nancy, for sharing your story. Next, I'd like to invite Your Excellency. We are aware that you're the global newborn screening advocate for our country. And Tracy, who's coming on board, will come and share her story of survival, courage, and resilience. Welcome, Tracy.
Thank you so much. All protocols observed. My name is Tracy Achieng. I'm 32 years old, and I have sickle cell disease. I'm here to tell you about a condition that I was born with. It means that it was a condition that back then nobody knew. So it is a very debilitating condition, meaning that we go through a lot of pain. But despite that, I am here, and I am here because of the support of my country. I recently, on 6th of August, went through blood exchange, which was supported by SHA. SHA ililipia hii mwili yenye mnaona. I was not like this before. So, and it is not just my body. There are other sickle cell warriors, such as Michelle Omulo. You saw her picture. There's Lindsay Berita and many others. So I would really say that we are grateful. Apart from that, I would also want to highlight that as sickle cell warriors, we need more support, especially when it comes to our vaccines. This is not just a luxury for us, because this will prevent us from going to hospital, because prevention is cheaper than admission. And even in my story, there's somebody that I cannot miss to highlight. There is Mama Dafala, the Kenya Blood Ambassador. Mama wa Taifa, I would like to just let you know our experience as sickle cell warriors while we get our blood exchange. I have to keep making calls. Unaweza nisaidia damu? Hapana. CS, unaweza nisaidia? I have to do this until I get 10 pints. That's not easy. If you've done sales, you understand. So Mama Dafala adopted me as a patient, and she's a Kenya Blood Ambassador. I would please ask the government to work with such ladies who have goodwill, or persons with goodwill who want to help sickle cell warriors, especially when it comes to blood, because blood is finite. And looking at my background in law, I would love to highlight that Kenya has the best policies. And one of the policies I would like to highlight is the newborn screening. I would like to sensitize and say that let us continue to implement it all round, because every implementation that is delayed has a name behind it. For example, we have Joe Mudukiza. He recently passed away. Joe was a well-known sickle cell warrior and advocate. He started the journey back in 2016 with Honorable Isaac Mwaura. And what Joe's journey brought forward is the need for mental health support, because unfortunately at some point he really wanted to go to Berlin to get euthanized. So I would like to say, as sickle cell warriors, we are really celebrated because of our, brevity, but we never really ask what is the cost that we pay to be brave like this. Let us get our psychosocial and mental health support. Asanteni sana. And I would also love to say that I would want to work for my country. In October, I'm going to the International Sickle Cell Anemia and Thalassemia Conference in London. And I would like to say and show them that SHA is working. SHA has universal health coverage. So mukinishika mikono, I will be very happy to show this. And asanteni sana CHPs, Embakasi Central Unit. My mother is one of you, Nyamavila. CHPs, you're the ones who can help us to implement this thing of newborn screenings, because you get into homes, you can say and tell, this home has people who probably have the condition, and any hospitali get the screening. Asanteni sana for holding my hand. Let us hold the hand of thousands more. Thank you.
A round of applause. Your Excellency, the First Lady, dignitaries in the room, maternal and newborn health champions, we have heard the stories. In every woman, every newborn, everywhere, we always face the sun. There are challenges, but let's also amplify the positive stories to encourage one mother and any newborn who cannot speak for themselves. Kindly let's give a last round of applause to our panelists as they leave the stage. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Juliet, for ably moderating that. You want to take a photo? Please come back. Thank you. Your Excellency, I also want to recognize our governors. Please join the photo. The governors in the House.
Yes.
Yes.
I can leave my things here.
Yes. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, for that good gesture of warm motherly care. It's a milestone for these warriors to achieve this today. Asante sana. Next we have it's my honor now, Your Excellency, to call upon our Director General to take the program from here. The Eweno promise, turning commitments into lives saved. Karibu DG.
Thank you, Dr. Bashir. Your Excellency, the First Lady of the Republic, Mama Rachel Ruto, Cabinet Secretary for Health, on Aden Duale, Excellency Governors present, CEOs of our hospitals, senior officials from the ministry, our PSS, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Your Excellency, I will take us through a few slides as to why the global community came with this every woman, every newborn, everywhere slogan. The reason was that progress towards ending preventable maternal and newborn deaths had stalled, and resources were now being channeled elsewhere. And what was the reason for this stall in progress? Basically, 5 things contributed to the slowness in terms of progress of accelerating reduction in preventable maternal and newborn deaths. One was the disruption caused by COVID-19. Both the non-medical countermeasures we put in place disrupted services. Number 2 was because of conflict. You saw in the earlier video that 70% of the maternal and newborn deaths happen in sub-Saharan Africa. And globally, the figure is actually 260,000 maternal deaths. 70% to 80% of that happens in sub-Saharan Africa. So conflict was a key driver in stalling the progress. Number 3 was climate crisis. Either because we have floods and we have disruption in health facilities, or we have droughts and we have food insecurity, acute malnutrition follows, and definitely, usually the first people who get affected are pregnant mothers and children under 5 years of age. The 4th C is because of aid cuts. Cuts in overseas development assistance really disrupted services in especially low middle income countries. You saw the stop work order that was issued by the US government and how that disrupted health service delivery. And the 5th one, which we are all being accused of, is called complacency. We let the ball drop. And therefore, WHO, UNICEF, UNFPA came together to be able to galvanize the global community to shape the direction going forward. Next slide. So in terms of progress, this is where leadership, where the rubber meets the road. His Excellency, the President, took it upon himself and asked very important questions. Why should mothers and children die? Yet we have the technologies, we have the expertise, we have the resources to be able to prevent maternal and newborn deaths. And the way to be able to do this for us as a country is we went through a process, developed a process of our plan for Eweno 2026-2028, and we decided to be able to focus on the counties that were underperforming. This is a total of 26 counties, and that is critical because that is where you can be able to quickly change the indicators. Countries which are doing well will continue to receive our support so that as a country we move forward together in the spirit of universal health coverage, ensuring that nobody is left behind. A child born in Lokichar in Turkana should have the same chance to be able to live and thrive like that one born in Nairobi or Lungalunga in Kwale County. So we came up with targets of the 90, so that 90% of our mothers can be able to attend at least 4 antenatal clinics, and 90% of the births ought to take place in a health facility. Your Excellency, in the first 90, we are on track, though we need to do a little bit of more work to be able to push. We are 72%, to be able to push that to 90%. In the second 90 of skilled birth attendants, nearly 9 out of 10 mothers in Kenya now deliver in a health facility. And that is covered by SHA. And therefore, one of the critical gaps that used to be there, which was financial access to healthcare services, has been removed by the directive of His Excellency the President to ensure that we allocate resources under the Primary Healthcare Fund to be able to support deliveries at level 2, level 3, and select level 4 services. What now we need to do, Your Excellency, is to be able to ensure that of the 9 out of 10 who deliver in a facility, they receive quality and respectful care, so that we can be able to inspire all mothers to deliver in health facilities. Further, His Excellency the President committed to be able to support this awareness cause by allocating the requisite resources to ensure that the progress that we have made is sustained and consolidated. One was allocation for money to be able to procure critical health products and technologies, which have been spoken to by the experts from Pumwani and Bungoma, like caffeine citrate, magnesium sulfate, heat stable carbetocin, to reduce the known causes of maternal and newborn deaths. The President further committed to allocate more resources for family planning, as you were told during our visit to the exhibition booth, that investing in family planning can actually be able to reduce maternal mortality by up to 40%. And then we also, HE also made a commitment to be able to recruit 5,000 extra healthcare workers, nurses and midwives, who will mainly serve at the primary healthcare facilities. And we want to be able to invest more in primary healthcare facilities, because investment in PHC facilities promotes inclusivity, equity, and mothers and children are the greatest users of primary healthcare services. Therefore, as a country, the leadership has spoken, the healthcare workers are seized, and you have heard testimonials from Kisii to Bungoma to Pumwani, what the healthcare workers are doing to be able to change this narrative. As a people, what we now need to commit to is to be able to optimize our resources that we have, make the right investments for the greatest impact. We will continue to shine the spotlight on the counties that are off track, because focusing on them will be able to ensure that we can be able to have a rapid reduction in preventable maternal and newborn deaths. And Your Excellency, these counties are mainly in the northern arid lands, the coastal belt, and in the lake region, because of the problem of malaria, HIV, and poverty. We need to be able to maintain focus on subnational level, so that as a country we move forward as one people, so that no one is left behind, and quality of care becomes very, very imperative in this process, so that mothers can be able to receive quality and respectful care when they go for services. And finally, at the very end, families, communities, and one whole people must be at the center of this, in terms of the plans we make, in terms of the policies we make, in terms of our implementation framework and accountability. The counties have seized this moment to be able to put in place critical accountability measures, including maternal perinatal death surveillance and response. And now that has been institutionalized literally across the 47 counties. And that is why you can be able to get reports of Kisii going for more than 2 months without a maternal death, Pumwani delivering more than 15,000 mothers without a maternal death. Your Excellency, we want to thank you most sincerely for adding your voice to this very worthy and noble cause to ensure that we can end preventable maternal and newborn deaths. We have the tools, we have the expertise, and together, if we walk this journey, we should be able to make a difference before the 2030 SDG targets. With those few reflections, it's now my honor and pleasure to invite the peers to make the remarks and take over the rest of the program. Thank you.
Your Excellency, the First Lady of the Republic of Kenya, Honorable Cabinet Secretary Aden Duale, Excellency Governors, UN agencies here represented by WHO and all our other partners, county government staff, CECs, chief officers, all the Ministry of Health directors, CHPs, habari zenyu, na all our distinguished guests of this summit. Your Excellency, we want to appreciate you for taking a lead role in championing Ewene together with His Excellency, the President. Your Excellency, much has been said, and so I just want to mention that from an implementation perspective, we are also coordinating all hospitals at the county level and at the national level to ensure that the targets that the Director General have already placed before you are being implemented. We've had a number of meetings with chief officers of county governments so that we ensure that their hospitals are moving to ensure that even when we have the commodities at KEMSA, that they are ordering for them, but more importantly, that they are also training healthcare workers to be able to put all the machines and the products to use, as you have seen from Kisii, from Bungoma, from Pumwani, and from the beneficiaries. Your Excellency, I just like to recognize my colleague, PS, Madam Mary Mudhoni, just to stand and wave in the interest of time. And then with those remarks, I will invite Excellency Honorable Sakaja to give his remarks, recognize the other governors, and then we'll invite CS Duale.
Your Excellency, Mama wa Taifa mpendwa Rachel Ruto, Waziri Duale, makatibu, magavana wenzangu, leo tuko na gavana wa Nandi, Mheshimiwa Sang. Tafadhali tumpokee hapa Nairobi. Tuko na gavana wa Mombasa, ndugu yangu Abdul Somad, ambaye ni mwenyekiti wa afya. He's the chair of health at the COG and is doing a good job. Na pia tuko na Governor Mudhomi Njuki ambaye ni vice chair wa COG. And Your Excellency, I must say that a lot of the heavy lifting that was done when we were doing the health sector reforms from 2022 was spearheaded by Governor Mudhomi. He was the then chair of health at the COG. Him and Governor Waiguru did a lot of work. And so the rest of us now, the chair of health etc., are carrying on based on what Mudhomi did, and we really appreciate what you did. Your Excellency, distinguished guests, our CHPs, CHPs oye! Habari ya leo? Mko salama? Your Excellency, every woman, every newborn everywhere has given Kenya a number that none of us in leadership can afford to look away from. Even as we celebrate the successes, every day we lose approximately 15 mothers and 92 newborns, many from causes we know how to prevent. And really allow me to acknowledge the presentations that have been made here before, the success stories that we have had, the issue of sickle cell. I'm sure when you saw the presentation from Jaramogi, TRH, you saw that there were 3 red places. There was the Nyanza and Western region, which I'm told is the malaria-prone region. Then there was a coastal area, but there was an island in the middle. That island is unfortunately Nairobi, but I'm glad to report that we're making strides. We set up our screening and treatment center at Kianda 42 in Kibra. We are screening in Mathare North now and at Ruta, And just for awareness, for the mothers and parents out there, I know our CHPs are able to direct people. It is good for them to know that we also have those services in Nairobi. But back to issues of every woman, every newborn, everywhere. I want to speak about how we will change these numbers that we've been told and give some examples from the capital city. Ultimately, our interventions on every woman, every newborn, everywhere will succeed, of course, county by county, facility by facility, household by household. The Ministry of Health, of course, leads with policy, but pregnancy happens in our communities, not at the ministry, hopefully. Antenatal care happens in our facilities. Deliveries happen in our maternity units. Emergencies arrive at our hospitals. And that is exactly where counties become central to the success of these initiatives. And I'm really glad, even yesterday, the President acknowledged the strong partnership between the ministry, the national government, and the county governments in addressing this. There are 3 delays that we must confront for us to sort this out. The first delay is in deciding to seek care. Then there's a delay in reaching care, and the delay in receiving care once a mother arrives. In Nairobi, we have structured our response around these 3 delays. The first delay we close is taking health care to the household. The first battle is won or lost before a mother even reaches a hospital. Nairobi has 7,820 community health promoters who I'm very proud of, working across our city. These CHPs are the closest link to our mothers. They promote early antenatal care, follow up pregnant women, identify danger signs, and connect families to health facilities. Before, we used to tell people to go to hospital. These days, we take the hospital to the people through our CHPs, the strongest cog in the wheel of universal health care in our country. And we must appreciate the community health promoters. I'm glad that now we have gotten shark cover for all our CHPs. And we thank the President. I'm glad all counties have now gotten on board. I signed the check in State House. It's a big check to pay for 6 months, and Duale is paying for 6 months, and plus the issues of the stipend. And thank you for the kits. And we're waiting for the 90 days. Now it is 89 days for what they're supposed to get. The second delay we must close, Your Excellency, our First Lady, is making sure a mother can reach care. Identifying the emergency is not enough. A mother must be able to reach there when she needs it. Nairobi County operates a toll-free number, 1508, that dispatches ambulances and coordinates referrals. And just the other day, we launched with the President 922 for the National Dispatch Center in collaboration with the ministry. In the last 4 months, our system has handled 4,573 emergency alerts and referrals, about 38 a day. We're achieving a 98% response rate, and this is critical for every woman, every newborn, everywhere. 54.6% of all emergencies handled by ambulances are maternity and newborn cases. So Nairobi 1508 and 922 are not just an ambulance number, it is part of our maternal and newborn survival system. Then lastly, it is closing the third delay. What happens when she arrives? This is the most decisive responsibility that county governments have, because there is very little value in reaching the facility if the facility is not ready to save a life. That means having the medicine, having blood, having a functioning theater, having newborn care, and having clear referral pathway when higher level care is required. I want to really applaud healthcare workers across the country, nurses, clinical officers, doctors. I want to applaud chief officers in the county governments, directors of health, our CECs, led by my CEC here. The work that they are doing is where the rubber meets the road. Your Excellency, many people may not know why I am very passionate about issues of maternal mortality. And let me tell you, my late mother had lost 3 children, before my eldest sister was born. She had difficulty with pregnancy. So the first 3 died. After she got the first 3, she was told that she can have only 2. And of course, you know African men, they want to have a boy. So my firstborn sister was born, and Marie. My dad was happy, of course, that's a child, but my second-born was on the way now, the second-born. Then when the second-born came, Evelyn. Now, my mom had been told because with 3 losses, she can only have 2. But my dad said, lazima work. So he insisted. Now, I was born premature. And in the 80s, I think it was very difficult to get an incubator. I was asking Dr. Amoth, what are the statistics? And so because of that, I had to be taken to a different facility. I was in an incubator for a long time. And so, and now I'm here, by the way. I didn't, I survived. And when I became governor, I realized that Nairobi had no neonatal ICUs at all. And that information was from my CEC, my chief officers, my teams. And I said, this story must change. We have just seen Nancy Kerubo here. That child is one of the products of our neonatal ICU in Bagathi that I made sure that we have. And in that Bagathi, we have kangaroo, and in many of our hospitals. When you go to the kangaroo, we have now encouraged men, the fathers, to also do kangaroo. That's your mama peke yake anafanya kangaroo, even the men. And whenever I go there, I encourage the mothers. I tell them, you know what? Don't worry if your child is born small. Even me, I was born small. Your child can become a governor, can become a lawyer, can become a doctor, just to give them hope in the community. Your Excellency, because of that, we have really scaled up healthcare in Nairobi. I am proud of the numbers. From 0, we have 23 neonatal ICU beds in Nairobi. We have 224 newborn unit beds in the last few years since I became governor. We have further expansion ongoing in Pumwani and Bagathi, Mama Margaret Uhuru Hospital, which has 8 theaters, Mama Lucy Kibaki Hospital. We used to hear negative stories about Pumwani every day. We have recorded 0 maternal deaths. And that is the biggest maternal facility south of the Sahara, north of the Limpopo, delivering close to 16,000. The numbers went down last year because of mambo for wafanyikazi, but it's around, I think, 80 a day, 50 to 80 a day. And thank you, Dr. Christine. I must acknowledge, Christine is the CEO of Bagathi Hospital. Dr. Saru is the one who spoke. Thank you. It's the same in Mutuini. It's the same in many of our hospitals. We have established 6 new maternity units in Ruai, in Kasarani constituency, in Riruta, in Dagoretti North constituency, in Pumwani Majengo, just here in Kamkunji constituency, in Kaloleni, in Makadara constituency, and 2 maternity theaters that are not there at Kayole 2. That is the lowest, the low level. Kayole 2 in Embakasi Central, and Madare North in Ruaraka. This is possible. So as I conclude, I don't want to take too much time. We also have, allow me to say, in Nairobi, in all our facilities, every county maternity, we have made sure there's heat stable carbetocin to make sure that we strengthen our response to postpartum hemorrhage, as well as the intrauterine balloon tamponade that's used to control severe postpartum hemorrhage, where uterine massage has not stopped the bleeding. Your Excellency, I'm not a doctor, but when you become a governor, you must be a doctor, you must be a garbage collector, you must be a roads engineer, you must be a everything. You must be a lawyer. I keep saying you must have the mind of a CEO and the heart of a social worker to run this devolved unit. Your Excellency, I'm happy. I'm told in July we got a child of 650 grams. Last July, 650 grams, but survived because of the NICU at Mbagathi. I'll encourage all my colleagues to keep doing that throughout. So finally, of course, it's financing the front line. Waziri Duale, you are a champion that this country appreciates. I don't know what you are doing in the Ministry of Defense. This is the real defense that Kenya needs. This is the real defense that Kenya actually needs. He has done great in the Ministry of Health, together with my brother Oluga. Financing has sorted out so much for us through SHA. Financing the frontline through facility improvement financing. Your Excellency, in 2022 in Nairobi, we were getting around 700 million for all my facilities, 125. This last financial year, I have closed at 2.6 billion shillings that is staying within those facilities to make sure we have 90% availability of medicines and laboratory services. Our facilities are now doing outreaches. We've conducted more than 120 outreaches and in-reaches every month, bringing preventative and curative services closer to communities. Every death must teach us something. Infrastructure and financing are not enough. We need more as leaders, accountability, which is why together with the ministry and DHA and the COG, every governor in Kenya has a dashboard where every day they can tell how many births took place in their facilities, how many deaths, if any, took place in their facilities, and the interventions to make. That information is right at everyone's fingertips. We hold weekly maternal and perinatal death surveillance and response meetings. I will not continue with the speech, but just to add one element that I think is important that we've started in Kibra constituency. Early childhood development doesn't start when the child goes to ECD. It starts when the pregnancy occurs. It starts at the point of conception. We've started training our fathers. And we've told our fathers, one, when you shout and make noise at the mother in the house, the child can hear. Ukiwa mtu wa kuleta vurugu na shida kwa nyumba, mtoto anaanza kusikia. How you treat your pregnant wife is very important. Siku hizi sasa, kwa ile maeneo tumeanza training, wababa wanaingia wakiimba. Wanaimbia wamama, ndio mtoto atokee mzuri. You don't want to affect the mental state of your child because of shida zako za mtaa. Si ni kweli? So wababa, hii naambia wababa, come to the hospital for the antenatal and see visits with mom. Sisi tutawatrain na uingie ukiimba. Sawa sawa? Wababa hoye. Wababa hoye. Mtaimba. Kama mjui wimbo wa kuimba mnitafute after this, nitawapatia wimbo. Maternal, the success is not just for mothers. It is both the father, the mother, and the community. Your Excellency, thank you for your commitment towards every woman, every newborn, everywhere. Okoa mtoto, okoa mama must be more than a slogan. It must be a national promise delivered by all 47 counties. May God bless all of you. I wanted to invite Waziri, but I want to ask for a favor. I know we are short of time. But kindly, if my Vice Chair of COG, who did so much work, you know, when you're dealing with the bills, when you're dealing with the governors from 2022, kindly, Mheshimiwa Mudhomi Njuki, please come make remarks, and then you shall now take it back to the ministry. Tupige Vice Chair. And by the way, Mheshimiwa Duale, Governor Mudhomi Njuki, the Chair of Health, Governor Sharif Nasir, the former Chair of Health, and the Governor of Nairobi, all went to a very good school. Down the road, on Ngong Road. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor Sakaja. We must appreciate that that was the right person to speak today on behalf of the governors, because we all live in Nairobi and we're in Nairobi. Your Excellency, the First Lady, the Cabinet Secretary for Health, Aden Duale, my colleague governors, and our protocols observed. I may not have much to say, just to appreciate that the last 4 years has been a journey that Kenya needed. We started with the reforms that we had with the 4 laws that were passed, which has been the brainchild of the Kenya Kwanza government and the leadership of His Excellency the President. Those 4 laws brought the reform that we needed today to bring us to where we are. I cannot figure out a country without SHA. I cannot figure out a country without the CHPs that we have today. The Ewene that we are talking about today, which started much earlier in a smaller fashion by the counties in form of MPDSR, has been nationalized and coordinated. The effort of both the national and the county government that brings the synergy to ensure that mothers don't lose lives or even lose their newborns is critical and is a product of that synergy that we have between the levels of government. The health sector would not have been at a better place today if we do not have the coordination that we have that has brought together all the health workers, irrespective of the space they occupy, whether it is CHP, whether it is a specialist in the ward and in the theatres. That has been very critical to ensure that all Kenyans are board in what we are striving to achieve as universal health care for everyone in Kenya. We want to make a commitment as the Council of Governors with my colleagues. Initially, health used to receive more or less the same equal funding with the other sectors in the devolved units. But today, every county spends or allocates approximately 60% of its total budget to health. And that tells you that in all the devolved functions that we gave the devolved units, health is at the top. It is at the summit. It is of critical importance because without that health, then all the other functions cannot be able to be performed. I do not want to overrate because it's not my day, but I want to make that commitment. Daktari Duale, that as we call you today, we are going to work with you to make sure that the coordinated effort that the ministry has already been able to initiate with us will realize the results that the Kenyans deserve. With those few remarks, I would like to take this opportunity to ask the chair of, with your permission, First Lady, the chair of Health, to make just one remark, or just make a remark, and invite the CSL. Thank you very much.
I think today is a day of being hijacked. Your Excellency, the First Lady, I think Governor Sakaja forgot to inform you as well that our next guest as well who will be having, the Deputy President, who was also in the same school with us. So there must have been something right about the school we went to. First and foremost, I want to congratulate. I've said this to you in person, Waziri, and to your PSs and to the heads of the different sagas, that congratulations for a very, very beautiful summit. It is truly an eye-opener, not just to us as industry players and movers, but also to the rest of Kenyans. Kenyans being able to realize what it is that their government is actually doing for them. The plans that were initiated based on the needs of the people till today where we are. So congratulations. It takes a lot of vision from a leader who sees a whole jigsaw puzzle in many, many different pieces. And for him to be able to put everything in place, especially when you have naughty children, and in a case like this, when you're being taken to court, when parliamentarians were not being able to understand, when, every single person, heads of facilities as well, in some instances, were not understanding what the concepts were. It has taken time, but today it is truly not just taking shape, but the fact remains, and it is an undisputable fact that SHA has been able to save lives. SHA has been able to save livelihoods on what it is that we do. I just want to add on something else, and I think it is important. We need to start having this conversation as well. The issue of early childhood does not begin when a child gets born or a child goes to school. I agree. A child actually, it's from conception. And this is scientifically proven. all doctors who are here will be able to agree that what it is that you do when a mother is pregnant has an impact. When you see levels of areas where crime is actually high, it is scientifically proven that what happened to that particular mother since the time she was pregnant and for the first 5 years, what it is that has been able to be done on that child. When we look at figures and we see that we are having babies that are born malnutritioned and severely malnutritioned as well, I think the conversation now needs to shift from the proposal that we should not only just be doing the element of treatment, but we should also be doing the element of ensuring that we do not have such cases happening in the first instance. And maybe a proposal that we will be coming at as a council as well to work with the ABLE Ministry on matters to do with malnutrition and severe malnutrition on our children. I think this is going to go a long way and something that will be remembered, hopefully, for those who are going to come over after 2032. They will continue the journey where we were able to live it. With those very many words, I think it's my job to now invite the Waziri, who is, maybe we need to give you a title, the Defense of Health. Karibu sana.
Your Excellency, the First Lady, Mama Rachel Ruto, the Council of Governors, led by the Vice Chair, the Governor of Nairobi, the Governor of Mombasa, I think I saw the Governor of Nandi, I don't know if there's another governor. And then we have the Chair of our Health Committee, Dr. Nyikal, our colleagues from both MOH and our county governments, our valued frontline soldiers, community health promoters, Your Excellency, our First Lady, and distinguished guests, this plenary brings us to one of the clearest measures of a health system performance. Whether a woman can go through pregnancy and childbirth safely, and whether her newborn receives the care required for that newborn to survive and to thrive. For too many families, that journey still carries avoidable risk. And today I want to say one of the reasons why maternal and newborn mortality is now becoming a national discussion is as a result of an encounter between our president and senior global leaders who raised with him and told him, Mr. President, you have done a lot, but you must address maternal and newborn issues in your country. And that's why, and I'm very happy and I want to thank our governors, when we isolated and said that 26 counties with high burden when it comes to maternal and newborn mortality, today I want to report very success stories working with the governors, Nairobi, Kisii, Garissa. These counties are also learning from counties that are doing very well. Our counties are doing the MPDSR. They are going from one county to the other. I think last month they were in Garissa. And Your Excellency, Mama Rachel, a woman may develop very severe bleeding. She might have a very high blood pressure or even an infection, while her newborn may be born prematurely, like Governor Sakaja. And now, you know, if he tells you I was born prematurely from his body size, you'll ask whether his story is adding up. Well, I expected him to be. But those who are watching us, premature birth is real, and it can produce a very strong, well-built governor like Governor Sakaja. So there is light at the end of the tunnel. But on May of 2026, our president launched Every Woman, Every Newborn acceleration plan. We were the first country, not in Africa, I think globally, to launch that. And what does that tell us? It tells us we must place maternal and newborn survival at the highest level of the national leadership. For us, we are very proud that the Ministry of Health and even our counties, that responsibility at the highest level is with President Ruto. And more importantly, the President backed his commitments with resources. Today, after consulting with the Council of Governors in our last summit, today President Ruto's government has provided 4 billion shillings to all our health facilities, level 2 and level 3, where a mother will go walk in, deliver, fully paid by the government of Kenya within the primary health care fund. And not only for delivery, but for all the newborn care essentials. We have also provided, under the leadership of the President, 1 billion for life-saving maternal and newborn commodities. And KEMSA CEO is here. Dr. Wako, yes, with the full instructions that those commodities that will save a mother must be available in every facility in our counties, because it's paid for by the government under the leadership of our President. And that those essential products are for life-saving maternal and newborn commodities. Then the President's commitment was on 2.5 billion for family planning. And further, the government now is committing another 5 billion to make sure that we have the required human resource. So we're going to employ another 5,000 midwives and nurses in the next 6 months. Together, all this represent approximately 12.2 billion in investment towards accelerating maternal and newborn survival. Never before this has happened in our country. And has there been very high-level presidential commitment? No. I mean, I'm the Minister for Health. I am the 23rd Minister for Health since independence. So I had to read the notes of the 23rd ministers, including the 4th President of the Republic of Kenya, Honorable the late Mwai Kibaki. And when I have read the notes, no president has made this kind of commitments other than President Ruto. And I want to commit also myself and my team, PS Mudhoni, PS Oluga, the DG, and the whole team from the Family Planning Directorate and the other directors, that we commit in stewarding these resources to ensure that these resources translate into services, into results which they have been intended for, and maybe in another 6 months when we come back to a forum like this, we can see the numbers have gone down. Your Excellency, our First Lady, when a mother walks to a facility to deliver, she is not a patient. She goes to a facility to go and give us another life. And it's very unfortunate if that mother and the child dies. And that's why our healthcare workers, the products available, the facility infrastructure we are doing at our counties, as well enumerated by Governor Sakaja, is so important to our country and in saving mothers and newborn. Your Excellency, even within these interventions, we must continue to learn from where the system falls short. Through maternal and prenatal death surveillance and response, every maternal and newborn deaths must be reviewed to establish what happened, where the delay occurred, and what must be changed. A no blame and no shame culture is being advocated for. And this is to encourage honest learning, but we must review and at the result in a very corrective action. By 2028, Your Excellency, we expect, as I conclude, this connected approach that our country is having today to produce reduction in maternal and newborn mortality, to give us a stronger emergency obstetric and newborn services, to grant us more reliable referral networks, and above all, to give us a very consistent standard of quality care across all the counties. Beyond 2028, Ewene must live a permanent culture of readiness, of learning, and of accountability, so that every pregnancy is supported and every birth is given the possible chance. Your Excellency, let me now thank you because you have sustained advocacy for health and the well-being of our women, the well-being of our newborns, and the well-being of the children and the families in our country, and how you have complemented government efforts and given Ewene an agenda of greater visibility. With you being here, with you being part of this discussion, and you have been doing it, this is a very privileged moment for us, that visibility, that momentum, and that purpose. We are proud to have you with us today in your capacity as an Ewene champion, and we deeply appreciate the leadership and the commitment you continue to bring to this very important national cause. Colleagues and delegates, it's now my honor and duty and privilege to invite our First Lady of the Republic of Kenya, Her Excellency Mama Rachel Ruto, to deliver our keynote address this morning. Welcome, Mama wa Taifa.
Tumkaribishe Mama Taifa kwa makofi mazuri. Jameni, wapi shangwe na vigelegele za Mama Taifa? Tumpongeze kwa makofi, shangwe na ngemi. Wapi ngemi ya kina mama? Welcome, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much. We may be seated. Honorable Aden Duale, Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Health, Mudomi Njuki, my apologies, Vice Chairperson, Council of Governors, and Governor of Tharaka Nithi County, Johnson Sakaja, Governor of Nairobi County, Governors present, Principal Secretaries present, County representatives, our development and implementing partners, healthcare professionals, and frontline health workers present. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Every mother remembers the sound of her baby's first cry. It is the most honest sound in the world. Relief, joy, and terror, all in one breath. That sound is what we are here to protect. I bring you warm greetings from our President, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, who in officially opening this summit yesterday reaffirmed his commitment to strengthening healthcare and improving the well-being of every Kenyan. In healthcare, a promise is not measured by the words we speak. It is measured in lives. It is the mother who walks home with her newborn, the premature baby who defies the odds, the patient who finally gets care when they need it most, not when it's convenient for the system. It is therefore incredible to join you for this important conversation, from promise to practice, delivering quality health services for every Kenyan. I relate to it because I know that feeling of sitting outside a hospital room and waiting for news. I know the prayer that a mother makes when someone she loves is in the hands of a healthcare worker. And that is why when we talk about healthcare systems, I not only hear the language of policies and numbers, I hear the voices of families. In every facility we strengthen, every healthcare worker we support, every service we bring closer to our people brings us one step closer to the Kenya we want for our children. A policy becomes meaningful when a mother feels safe in a maternity ward. An investment becomes meaningful when a newborn survives. A healthcare worker becomes empowered when they have the tools to save a life. And a health system becomes successful when a Kenyan does not have to travel hundreds of kilometers to receive care. Ladies and gentlemen, in May this year, we launched the Every Woman, Every Newborn, Everywhere, Iwene Acceleration Plan, where we made a promise that no mother, no child should be lost to something preventable. So we must ask ourselves honestly, how do we turn that promise into a daily reality? The answer is not complicated. It takes leadership, investment, skilled healthcare workers, reliable equipment and supplies, referral systems that actually work when a life is on the line. And above all, it takes accountability across all stakeholders in the healthcare sector. The numbers tell us how urgent this is. Kenya's Iwene framework estimates maternal mortality at roughly 355 deaths per 100,000 lives births, with neonatal mortality around 21 per 1,000. But I want us to remember, those are not just numbers. Behind every single one is a mother, a newborn, a family that carries that loss forever, and a community that feels it too. So we cannot be satisfied with progress. We must insist on impact. As a goodwill ambassador for newborn screening in Kenya, I'm encouraged by what the Ministry of Health has already committed to. Under the Iwene Acceleration Plan 2026-2028, we are expanding maternal health care coverage through the Social Health Authority, investing in essential maternal newborn commodities, family planning supplies, recruiting and redeploying thousands more nurses and midwives. Today, we have heard what happens when promise becomes practice. We have heard about Pumwani Hospital that has had near zero maternal deaths. This has been through strengthened systems and relentless focus on quality care. We have heard about a maternity team in Kisii that went a full month without losing a mother. For that team, that is not statistic. That is a month of families going home together. And we will hear about Mwai Kibaki Referral Hospital, where more than 15,000 people have been reached in their communities for screening. 15,000 opportunities to detect disease before it becomes a tragedy. These stories tell us something important. The Kenya we want is not an impossible Kenya. We have already seen glimpses of it. Our task now is to make those glimpses the standard. Ladies and gentlemen, let us build a Kenya where a mother does not have to be wealthy to receive quality care, where a newborn's chance of survival is not determined by the county in which they are born, where a health worker is not sent into a crisis without the tools to respond,